there's a new deduction for auto loan interest. In the actual bill, it's called no tax on car loan interest. It's a deduction. We believe it is below the line. So there have been a few articles, especially in the early days, that suggested it might be an above the line deduction. Our latest read is that it is a below the line deduction, down where a QBI is, independent of itemized deductions or standard deductions, and also not contributing to AGI. It's below the line. It's up to $10,000. It's the same amount maximum for single or joint filers. It is for new cars only. Motorcycles count too. In fact, the text of the law says it has to have at least 2 wheels. So there you go. Motorcycles are in. And final assembly has to be in the United States. Within Holistiplan, the way we captured it, again, as a below-the-line deduction. So we have this whole section that is below the line. So we've got our itemized deductions here, or standard itemized deductions here, and then we have this section called Other Deductions and QBI, and that's getting to be a more crowded section these days. So let's say that we have $21,000 of car loan interest. That's not the size of the loan, that's the interest paid during the tax year. It's going to cap that at $10,000. Now there is a phase out. So it's a phase out based on your MAGI, so your AGI, and you add back your foreign earned income exclusion or the foreign housing exclusion. And it's a pretty narrow band of phase out. So for joint filers, it starts phasing out at $200,000 MAGI, and then it's gone at $250,000 MAGI. So that $50,000 band, it's totally gone. For all other filers, it starts phasing out at $100,000, and it's gone at $150,000. Let me show it to you in Range Calc, what it looks like. So this client had, I believe it was $50,000 of AGI. So $50,000 of AGI, that's a joint filer. It's going to start phasing out at $200,000 AGI. So that's what we see here. If I add $150,000 of income, that's what Range Calc does, by the way. We take our scenario and then we add $1,000 of income at a time, and we recalculate the tax every time, and we determine what is the incremental extra tax for each of those $1,000. And what you can see is once we get into this phase-out range for this deduction, because it's such a narrow phase-out range, it's quite expensive. I mean, basically, I jump from being in the 22% ordinary income bracket. The reality is I'm actually paying on every $1,000 of income I add, say with a Roth conversion or something like that, I'm in fact paying 26.4 cents on the dollar for that incremental income. Then once it's fully phased out, then I'm back to normal. But like I said, pretty narrow band of phase out. So as far as an action plan goes for advisors, I don't think this is something that would say go out and rush to buy a car, because first of all, it's only running through 2028. And also it's only for new cars, and it's only for interest on financing on those new cars. And there's like a whole lot of schools of thought on buying new versus used and financing versus paying cash. So this is just a deduction based on interest paid on financing a brand new car. I will say this though, if your client is in the market for a new car and they're buying anyway, it's probably, and they're planning to finance, it's worthwhile for them to understand which cars qualify or not, which cars are final assembled in the US or not. I would hope that the dealerships, the auto dealerships, would start to promote this, and they'll try to make sure that their customers know which cars are eligible for this or not. But it's worth clients doing their extra due diligence to make sure if they're buying anyway and they think it's a car assembled in the US, they ought to just check twice to be sure that's really true.